hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Uplift program.
Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well.
It is great to be here for our very first episode of Uplift. I'm really excited.
So am I. I think it's great.
This is really great. So tonight, Ian, we had decided we wanted to talk about stepping forth from where you are.
Yes. Stepping out, stepping forward, stepping forth.
Right. We don't want to get too comfortable, and we don't want to get into a position of where we feel like, well, I'm not able to do anything, but at the same time, we don't want to get into a position where I'm really comfortable where I am. I should probably just stay where I am.
Exactly. Yeah. Comfort zones they're nice.
Sure.
But they can be very restricting and distracting.
Yeah. And, we have to admit to ourselves that we serve a God who is far greater than we can ever imagine.
Yeah.
And when we are willing to surrender to His will and submit ourselves to His calling, whatever that may be in our lives, we can make a difference. And we get blessed by it too.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah. And we, sometimes it's a fear factor. I don't feel like I'm capable of doing what so-and-so may be doing. Step out, see where God takes you.
Yep. Yeah, we always end up going far beyond what we would ever think we could do. And even at times what we think we deserve.
Yeah.
But God can take us into the most peculiar places to do the most unique things. And at the end of the day, you end up just thanking Him for allowing you to be on this journey with Him.
Absolutely. It is so amazing because we're very limited in what we think of. We're limited to our experiences.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
But when we let go and we let God, perfect example, somebody came to me a few months ago and said, I want to start a radio station. And I thought, yeah, sure. And here we are.
I know, right?
Who would have ever imagined that we would actually be on the radio?
I know. It's really amazing.
And here we are.
It's really amazing.
And so that's what I'm saying. If you really just let God take you, it's almost limitless what He can. It is limitless what He can do.
It really is. And you made a great point earlier too, Phil, in talking about that when we allow God to take us into that unknown, if I can use that, take us into that unknown, then not only are we blessed by it, but God has His way with others, and others are blessed by it too. And it goes so far beyond what we would ever imagine. And sometimes, even like with this, this is exciting. This is a lot of fun. And we can talk about it, and then we don't even realize at that point how many other people are being affected and impacted and blessed by what God is doing.
Absolutely. And I got to share an experience with you. Someone that we both know, and I'm not going to mention the name, said to me, I look up to both of you and I pray for you both every day. And at first I thought, why me? I can understand Ian, but why me? And I'm sure you probably say the same thing about me. I know that. But it really got me thinking about what you just said. That we have caused an impact in this person's life. So much so that this person has changed recently. And it's wonderful to see. And really, we're just beginning.
Yeah.
God is the one who's done the impact, not us.
Yes, absolutely.
But to see that fruit grow, if you will, coming back at me and you for what we've done, working together in just this 3 short years that we've known each other, it's amazing, and I just praise the Lord for this.
It is. It's really neat to watch, and it gets to a point too upon stepping out or stepping forth from where you are, that you watch God be who He is. Time after time, you experience His faithfulness towards His children. You experience His grace when you zig and you should have zagged, and you experience His mercy. So you experience all these things about who God is. and it becomes so real, it becomes so tangible that you really have experienced him, and in doing that, you almost get to that point. Well, you get to that point of anticipating the next step, the next invitation that he sends out to you to join him in another place or another venture or another area of impact. And even though you don't see sometimes where you're going, you just know you're going, or he gives you a snapshot of way down the road, and you're like, I don't know how this is ever going to happen, but you become on the lookout for his handiwork and for his invitation, in the mail to go to the next place. And it's just a joy.
It really is a joy.
It really is.
And you can't go wrong.
No.
For so long I held back because I thought, I believe God's telling me to do this, but what if I'm wrong? And then I got to the point where God said, just do it.
Yeah.
And I would step out, and I got out of my comfort zone, and I started to see God was faithful to show me. And you know what? To this day, I don't know if I was right or wrong, but God made it right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that you can just do whatever you want. You need to follow God's will. You need to understand his will. And there are things that we shouldn't do. Obviously, if it's not written in the Bible, we shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But I got to the point where I would do something and I say, did I do it okay, Lord? And I didn't hear anything. But I started to believe, well, I stepped out, so God is faithful to make it work.
It's like when we step out, he steps in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's that type of thing. And I oftentimes think in pictures. Just seeing things or relating to things, and I do. There are times that I go to the mailbox or I go to my email inbox, and I'm anticipating and I'm hoping for an invitation.
Yeah.
And when that comes, there can be floods of anxiety and oh my word, what did I just ask for, and how did I get involved with this, and all of those different things can flood over us. But when it's all said and done, God has stepped in, and when we step out, we end up stepping into the palm of his hand, and that is a very safe and secure place. And that doesn't mean it's all going to be easy, because usually during these times of stepping out, and as we go from one place to the next, then God lovingly highlights areas in our lives that need to be refined or
absolutely
removed.
Right.
And go ahead.
And I'm glad you said lovingly.
Yes.
That is
absolutely.
So important. Yes, God does not want you to sin. God doesn't want you to do so many things. But he lovingly corrects.
Yes.
And that is something that I feel a lot of people really fall short of understanding. And I say this partly from experience, that I felt like at times that I had made God so mad that there was no way he was going to work with me anymore. But I knew that wasn't true. And he proved it to not be true.
That's awesome.
And on the same token, though, we have to remember that just because things are going well and you're seeing things happen, God is moving, you're seeing your gifts developing, doesn't mean that it's okay to slip in a sin now and then, because
that's right.
It's not like a balance where sin and your blessings go down, or stop sinning and your blessings go up. It's not a balance like that. There's sin, and then there's the work of God and blessings, and they work independently. And sin can destroy your life.
Yes. And
it can cause problems for other people, but God can, beyond the sin, continue to bless you. And it may look like, hey, I'm really blessed. Okay, I'm going to just let this in because I used to like to do this. No, that doesn't work that way.
No.
And we've got to be very careful to understand that. I saw on Facebook, a friend of mine had recently posted about using 1 Corinthians as an example. The gifts of the Spirit were flowing into Corinth.
Yeah.
But there was so much correction that needed to be done by Paul in his letter. And That is so true, because it's like I said, it's not like a balance. They're independent. They work independently, and so we just need to be careful.
We do.
That.
It's one of those things that for us, the temptation of the enemy as we move along the path that we have stepped into in following the Lord, that temptation is going to come. I mean,
absolutely.
We can never forget that the enemy is a roaring lion.
Absolutely.
Stalking about and seeking whom he may devour. And we are that tasty treat.
Yeah,
you know, we really are. And the more you step into flow with what the Lord has, then oftentimes the more attack that we experience and that we face. And it's, I've heard it said often, as we move forward, then we step up a level, but, new level, different devil.
Yeah.
And as we move forward, then those fights come. And it's not because God can't stop them. It's not because he can't thwart them, though at times that he will.
Sure.
But he does allow those to come against us. And it is to teach and to train and to develop so that we walk and move in freedom from the old self, but that we also can step in and fight for others, and that we can stand in the gap as Nehemiah
exactly
portrays. And we need to be doing that, and that needs to be part of our mindset when we step forward, that we get to follow God into this new venture. We get to do these things and get to be about our Father's business in those areas. But at the same time, we're there to learn and understand how the enemy moves and works so that we can live in freedom victoriously and help others follow that. So at points when we step out and we're going towards this new venture and we're taking this new path, there can be times that we're clearing the path for others to follow.
Others. Right. It may not be about something that you are going to be good at. You may be preparing for something else, but you're preparing the way for another person.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that reminds me of John the Baptist.
Absolutely.
Wonderful things that he did, but his whole purpose was to prepare the way for something greater to come.
Man, that's good.
And when you step out, and if you are just a John the Baptist preparing the way for someone else to come after you, I'm reminded of the and I don't know this person's name, the evangelist I think it was in North Carolina, who had a revival one day, and some dairy farmer boy comes and goes to this revival, and this great evangelist, probably great at the time, I don't know who he is.
You're right.
But the dairy farmer boy was
Billy Graham.
Billy Graham. Thank you. I could not. His name escaped me for a moment there.
Billy Graham.
So, imagine being that person who prepared the way for Billy Graham. That would be quite a joy to know that you were that person. But that man was blessed in his own way by God, in God's way. And that's the other thing. We can't seek out the blessings. Let the blessings come to us. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, because if we just go out seeking the blessings, we might miss the blessing that God does have for us.
Yeah.
I might say, my blessing is to be on the radio, and God may say, well, okay, but I wanted to put you on TV.
Yeah.
It could be something like that. So don't seek out the blessing. Let God bring them to you.
And that goes back to your initial point in all of what we're talking about, Phil, just to even, like we talked about stepping out, and stepping forth. And that's just to be submissive and to surrender. And, those two things are so key and so foundational to allow God to position us and to move us and to shape us and to mold us. And too often we see things that can be done and feel like it should be done, therefore we manufacture them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not something that we really need to be involved with.
Right.
We need to allow God to handle that and to let him lead and put us where we need to be placed and to bring us what we need to do what he's called us to do.
But Ian, you're asking me to not be in control.
Exactly.
And But that's what surrender is, right?
It is.
It's surrendering control to the one who can control it better.
Right.
You know, when I was younger and I was learning to drive, thank goodness the teacher had a brake on her side because I was in control of driving the car, and I started to turn the wrong way down a one-way street, and she slammed on that brake, and I lost control. I felt the brake go up from underneath me. But that was not a matter of me surrendering control. She took control.
Right.
But she knew better than I did. I had never driven in this part of town before, and she knew that I was going the wrong way. So she pulled me back. And that's what God does with us.
He does. And one of the things, along these same lines that we need to remember is one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control.
Yes.
And that is to go, I see what can be done. I see what should be done, and how to do it. I mean, you can list it all out. The question is, should you?
Should you? Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and to exercise self-control in not manufacturing these things or to make things happen, there's a balance. There's times when the Lord tells us, yes, I want you to do this and get this done and take care of this. And there's sometimes where we just understand, okay, this is the next step. But when we work to manufacture, it could be anything from number of views to number of listeners to, you can do all kinds of things to make that happen. And yes, you're reaching out, but the question is, does the Lord want you to? And if the answer is no, then you know what? Take pleasure and joy in exercising a fruit of the Spirit and be self-controlled and let God handle it.
Right. And when you let God handle the self-control too, which he is very good at,
yes.
Self-control isn't a fruit that we generate on our own. Or we would all fail, right?
That's right.
But same with patience.
Yes.
It's a fruit that we don't generate on our own. In fact, none of them. We don't generate them, but we let the Holy Spirit,
that's right,
the fruit of the Spirit, be working in us. But when we relinquish that control to the Spirit,
that's right, Phil.
Okay, Lord, help me love. Help me show joy. Help me have self-control. Help me be kind. And then we relinquish that control, he does. Which in turn gives us self-control.
Exactly. Exactly. They all build on one another, and they position us to be who we need to be as we step forward into the new, whatever that is.
Right. Okay, so let me run this by you. I'm watching this program called Uplift. I'm listening to it on Fulcrum Radio. And I think these guys are I know what they're talking about. So I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to really work hard for God. I'm going to change my life and I'm really going to dedicate myself to God. And I try to start a new ministry and suddenly it falls apart. What do I do? Do I say, oh, well, I was wrong. God didn't call me. What do I do? Do I just give up? Do I move on?
No, you go before the Lord. I can talk to you from experience.
Okay. I wasn't putting you on the spot.
No, not at all.
I
think that there's a lot of us that have experienced those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you understand that, oh man, this is what I'm called to do. I should be doing this. I need to do this. And you get out there and all of a sudden it just is not happening. And it's part of the understanding of just sitting back before the Lord and holding all of the rubble of what we've been through and just handing it to the Lord and going, so what do I do with this? And one of the things that I found is that it's not what do I do with it, but what do I learn from it?
There you go.
And to listen to what God has taught me in that time and in that season about ministry, about listening to him and listening to his voice, about the things in my life that needed to be removed or changed, and prepare me for the next step. Just because something falls apart doesn't mean there's not a next.
Absolutely.
So it's taking all of what we're able to glean from that time with him and what we attempted to accomplish. And there has been times when I found out that I accomplished what he wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can attest to that as well.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. And that goes back to what you were saying about manufacturing. Yeah. We have in our mind, okay, I'm ready to step out. I have in my mind what I'm going to do. Okay?
Right.
And what is it, Proverbs 16:1, I believe, that man makes plans and God redirects. I can't remember exactly how it is word for word, but basically God redirects when we make our plans. He
Thank the Lord.
You could also say that many times God laughs when we make plans.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
But, like a child, if you watch a child growing and trying to learn to walk, for example,
Yeah.
you appreciate the effort. We get joy when we see a child trying to walk.
Mm-hmm.
But then they stumble and fall, and they might cry, they might get hurt.
Yeah.
But what does a loving parent do? Walks over, picks them back up, and says, try again.
Right.
And that's what God does with us.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give up.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like you said, Ian, ask God, what can I learn from this? What can I take from this? The rubble. I love how you put that, the rubble, and turn it into something else.
Yeah.
Because that reminds me of a story of rubble that was in Jesus' time in John chapter 8. A lot of people don't know this. The Bible isn't really specific about this, but there were stones that Jesus was in the temple, and the Pharisees had caught a woman in adultery, and they were going to stone her to death. You know where they got those stones? They were stones that were left over. Okay, this is Jewish tradition here. Okay. This is Jewish tradition. It's not in the Bible. They were stones that were left over from the first temple when it was destroyed.
Really?
And they were sitting there and they said, the Messiah will tell us what to do with these stones. And he told them, let the first one without sin be the first to cast a stone. Wow. So God takes the rubble no matter what it is. And this was at least 400 years later. I mean, probably more. I can't remember the exact timing. But God, after all those hundreds of years, took that rubble and put it to use. Now, thankfully, that woman wasn't stoned to death that day, but it can be a couple days, it can be a couple months, it might be a couple years. No one wants to wait. We live in a fast food world. I want my food right now.
That's right.
I'm going to pull up to McDonald's, I'm going to order a Big Mac, and by golly, don't make me wait in line.
Right.
Or I'm going to make a comment about it on Facebook. But my point is that we need to be patient. Yeah. Another fruit of the Spirit, like we talked about.
There you go. Yes.
And allow God to work, because He will.
Yes.
Anyone that is willing to surrender to God cannot go wrong. God will use that.
Yes.
Every single time.
Absolutely. And too, with the rubble and those pieces of what is left of outreaches or ministries and things like that we've been involved with or attempted at some point in time in our lives, we can sit here today, Phil, and we could talk about all of those lessons learned from there that we apply and use today.
Absolutely.
And it becomes foundational. Those lessons and those things that we learn in early days become foundational to what God is building even today.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
So it's never lost.
Absolutely.
It's never lost, and neither are we.
Right.
And so it's just really an opportunity again. You step back into the game, so to say, and you get to be a part of something else that God wants to do in and through your life, and to watch Him build that and blossom it into something that impacts others and more people, and the ripple effect just continues.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. It really is an amazing thing. But we're in a season now, as far as the church is concerned, and when we talk about the church, Big C, we're not talking about the four-walled church, but we're talking about the bride. But we're in a season of time where the Lord is calling His people out. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even those who will profess that they don't know Him or that they don't want to know Him, some are just being drawn in. It's like
yeah, they definitely are,
aren't they? And it's like I get there again, another picture, but I get this picture of at points Jesus is harpooning people, and He's drawing them in, and we have an opportunity to choose to not be what we were and not be where we were, but to step in and to step forward into what He has coming and what is developing, to be His hands and feet and His voice to a world that needs it desperately.
Absolutely.
But we're in a season of this shift.
Yeah, and I've seen people, and I know you've seen this too with people, and I'm sure people that are watching may be experiencing
absolutely.
this right now, where we're feeling that tugging on our hearts to do something more, to do something different, to open up to the Lord in a new way.
Yeah.
And that's what we're
Yes.
talking about tonight, by that stepping out from where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to encourage you to do that. We want to encourage you to take that step, no matter what it is, how small or how large it is. Step forth from where you are right now.
Yes.
And start with prayer.
Yes.
Just take it to God. If you don't know how to pray, then just say, God, I don't know how to pray.
Yeah. Be
And-
very honest.
Yes. God, I feel something going on. Help me to understand it. And I'm telling you, I can promise you, it will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it will.
Again, maybe not in your time, but it will happen when the Lord wants it to happen.
Yes, He will hear your prayers.
Absolutely.
He will hear your prayers. And it's time for that invitation, for you to answer that invitation. Send in that RSVP card.
Yeah.
And let the Lord know that you want to be a part of what He's calling you into. And there's so many different things, like what Phil was talking about, just being drawn in, and God is pulling you, and there may be times that you're just bursting into tears and you just don't understand why, or you're listening to a song and you just start weeping, or you see or you meet someone and all of a sudden your heart just hurts inside and you're like, what is going on with me?
Right.
And that's the Spirit of God moving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are almost out of time.
Yeah, man.
So
Wow,
it
so
goes very
fast.
quickly. But I just want to take a couple minutes. First, thank you, Ian. This has been wonderful.
Oh, absolutely.
I
love
hope that everybody has enjoyed it as well. But at Fulcrum Radio, we want to pray for you.
Yes.
So if you have a prayer request, please send it to us at prayer by sending an email to prayer@fulcrumradio.org. prayer@fulcrumradio.org. Or you can leave a comment on this Facebook page. You can reach out to one of us individually
Yes.
on Facebook. Or together.
Mm-hmm.
That would be even better to reach out to us together.
Yes.
You can visit our website. You can leave on a contact form on our website. You can fill out. You can do it privately. You can do it publicly by liking and commenting on any of our posts on Facebook or YouTube. And we're also on Twitter. We are on Twitter at Fulcrum Radio. So if you are on Twitter, now, I don't know about you, but I don't use Twitter much, but we'll learn. Right?
Yes, we can learn.
If you're on Twitter and you want to reach out to us, at Fulcrum Radio.
At Fulcrum Radio.
For Twitter.
Awesome.
All right.
Man, that's great.
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, man, it's great to be here, Phil. I
Yeah.
love the new format. I love how
Yeah.
things are coming together. And
It
again,
is.
stepping out
Yeah.
and watching God go ahead of us, and we get to follow His lead.
Yes, absolutely. So take our example, step out in what God is calling you to do.
Yeah.
Until next time, God bless you all, and we'll see you later.
God bless.